I remember watching Charles Barkley in his first couple years in the NBA. He played in Philadelphia, and he didn't have all the games on all the time. So you'd see highlight. We didn't have YouTube. You didn't have Google. You didn't have all the cable stuff where you'd see every game every night. But I remember getting glimpses of him, and he could shoot jumpers. He could score in transition. He had a big butt. He could score down low. And I remember thinking, watching him, I'm like, God, points come so easy to Charles Barkley. He could score out. He could score in. He scores in transition. He could dribble for a big guy. And I'm like, good God, what can't he do? That reminds me of Justin Herbert. He's big. He's strong. He can run. He's 6'6". It shouldn't look this easy for a rookie with no preseason. It should not look this easy. Joe Burrow's good. It doesn't look easy. Baker Mayfield's got talent. Tua's got talent. It doesn't look easy. Josh Allen is exceptional. Do you remember his rookie year? He completed 52% of his throws. He had more picks than touchdowns. It was never easy for Josh Allen. Okay, this just is easy. This is throw and catch. And I want to hear about the Raiders' defense. It shouldn't look like this. This is not the way it's supposed to look. First of all, the great news for when you get a great quarterback, it creates clarity. So the Chargers will know going forward, if you're not scoring enough points, you got to fire the offensive coordinator. And if you're not winning enough games, you got to fire the head coach. If you get a guy like Mitch Trubisky, it's finger pointing. I thought Matt Nagy was a good coach. Maybe he's not. Is it the offensive line? Is our GM clueless? Trubisky wins games, but it's always question marks. You drive to the facility now with the Chargers knowing if we don't win and score, then it's got to be the coordinator or the coach, or we have a bad offensive line. It creates complete clarity. When Andrew Luck showed up and he was winning, but you weren't winning enough, it's like, oh, they had to fire the GM. GM's not good enough. We got to get rid of the coach. When you get one of these once-a-decade talents, Trevor Lawrence, if he doesn't win in New York, you're going to be like, okay, we got the wrong coach or the wrong GM or a bad offensive line. And listen, I like Anthony Lynn. I know Anthony Lynn, but they've lost 16 one-possession games in 2 years. Atlanta, Detroit, those are the two other teams that kept losing close games. They fired their coaches. I think Anthony Lynn's in trouble. I thought he took the ball out of Justin Herbert's hands last night. I mean, good God, they couldn't stop him. He stopped using him. Then when they went back to overtime, they're like, all right, kid, crank it up. Boom, they won the game. I didn't love that. I didn't think it was a great night for Anthony Lynn. But here's the good news for the Chargers, is that this kid is so talented. I mean, there's 3 organizations right now. The Jets are going to get Trevor Lawrence, and they're going to get a coach. The Texans have Deshaun Watson, and they're going to get a coach. And the Chargers have Justin Herbert and may get a coach. Boy, Los Angeles becomes very attractive. If Brian Daboll's out there or an Urban Meyer, you live in L.A., it's a built-to-win roster, you're just losing close games, Herbert's only getting better. Very rarely do you take over a job in the NFL and get this, or Deshaun Watson or Trevor Lawrence. You end up taking over a job and getting a quarterback who's probably a backup that you forced into a starter, and you got to draft one, and you can whiff on the first one. That's a very Cleveland experience. Or, no. The Texans, the Jets, and the Chargers, you got a star ready to win. And this kid, unlike Deshaun Watson's, never had injuries. And this kid, unlike Trevor Lawrence, we've already seen him play in the NFL. Charger ownership is very sensitive. They can't sell tickets. They've gotten a lot of negative press for the move from San Diego, where I do think they fit better. So Charger ownership, prove us wrong. Prove us wrong. Because if you can't win with that kid, then you got the wrong coach. If you can't score a lot of points with that kid, then you've got the wrong offensive coordinator. Because it does not look like that for a rookie. Ever. Elway didn't look like that. Nobody looks like that. Mahomes didn't even play his first year. It's not what it's supposed to look like. I mean, the only time he wasn't flying up and down the field is when the coach took the ball out of his hands. So do what you want with Anthony Lynn. I worry about the one-possession losses. That's as games get late, the decisions get harder. I don't know. But I'm just sitting there and I'm like, this has such a Barkley feel to it. The kid's big. Quarterback sneak, he's great. Run him, he's great. Arm, great. 4.2 biology major, brainiac, great. I said, he's Andrew Luck, but a way better arm. That's unbelievable. All right, so I want to talk about Jon Gruden for a second. I know Jon. I like Jon. But the Raiders have been blown out 14 times by 17 or more since he took over the Raiders. Only the Jets have been blown out more. I just want that to sit there for a second. Raiders get blown out a lot. And we are seeing a trend now, and I am not a believer, as Joy is my witness, in coincidences. Things happen, and when they happen over and over and over and over again, they happen for a reason. The Raiders and Gruden are getting worse at the end of years. Assuming the Raiders miss the playoffs, I want to read this to you. It'll be the third time Jon Gruden has coached the team, started 6-3 and missed the playoffs. The 98 Raiders, the 2008 Bucs, the 2020 Raiders. I am not counting this team. It should be 4, but they started 6-4. Since the NFL expanded playoffs in 1990, there's been 140 teams that have started 6-3. No other coach in the NFL in that stretch 3 times has done that and missed the playoffs, except Gruden. Now, why do they keep getting bad at the end of seasons? Now, I could go with a bunch of hunches. You know, does Gruden's personality wear people out? That seems like kind of a reach, right? There's a lot of personalities that Nick Saban wears you out. His teams are good late. Belichick can be harsh. His teams are good late. Is it possible, or is it probable, that Gruden's an average coach and he's more media marketing maven than football genius? Listen, Chucky, best-selling team, TV star. Brian Billick and Gruden won a Super Bowl. They're both known as offensive guys, but their Super Bowl teams were about defense. One guy, without the big personality, Billick, never got another job. John gets a 10-year deal. Why? Because he used television to leverage himself into another job. I'm not saying he's a bad coach, but we've always elevated him to kind of a level that, why do his teams get bad late? Let me ask you this. Is that every boss I've ever had, the more I'm around him, the better I get. Bill Belichick is the best late season coach in the NFL. I could argue Sean Payton is second. Why? Because the longer Belichick teaches and mentors young men, the better they get. That makes sense, right? The longer Sean Payton, who struggles like Belichick in September, the longer Sean Payton has his team, he's a great coach, a great boss, the better they get. It makes sense. Every boss I've ever had, the more I'm with him, the better I get. With Gruden, the more he barks and teaches, the worse his teams get. Maybe he's just an average coach who's got great media. We know the media can sway and alter and bend narratives. But in September, Gruden wins 57% of his games. You know what he wins in December? 38% of his games. It's not supposed to go this way. He says, if you look at Gruden's career, he's slightly above 500. His last playoff win was 18 years ago. The last 2 playoff games he was in, wild card games, he lost. I mean, he took a Super Bowl roster, tweaked the offense, and won. Does that make him a genius? He had a best-selling book. He's absolutely wonderful on TV. He's great. The quarterback camp is great. Monday Night Football has never felt the same. No shot at anybody. It just doesn't feel as good. We see the media do this all the time. They play favorites. The media likes people who are verbal and talk. The media loves Daryl Morey of the Houston Rockets because he talks and he makes our job easy. Gruden makes our job easy. He's got great quotes. He's likable. He's got a bunch of media friends. You know, is it possible he's just an average coach? That's just what he is. That's what the numbers say. Not everybody that's won a Super Bowl is a genius. Brian Billick, another offensive genius, won a Super Bowl. Why didn't he get second and third chances? Because he didn't leverage his TV personality into another job. If your teams consistently get worse, the more the players are around you, how in the world could I call that a great coach? That's not the way it was with Don Coryell or Andy Reid or Sean Payton or Bill Belichick. The more you get of them, the better you are. I'm not saying he's a terrible coach. He won a Super Bowl. but I see this a lot. And it's ridiculous to deny this. The media, they've done studies on it. More media people, lean left than right. There can be a Fox News, but that's a fact. And here's the second thing that's true about the media, because I've been in it 30 years. They like people who make their job easier. I'm as guilty as anybody. I go to the talkers. Gruden's just big and funny and great in the mic and says things, and he's kind of available, and his teams get worse the more they're around him. That doesn't sound like a great coach to me. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.